Where are they now? A recent Jeff King sighting.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
And we are back for another installment of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by the technician Chris Aceto. And we were 1 month out from the Arnold Classic. We're going to be talking about that in a little bit. But I know it's freezing cold up there in Maine, and it's been a little chilly down here, but we're warming up a little bit.
Yeah, you guys had the deep freeze. I saw snow flurries in Tampa. Was it 10 days ago? Within the last 10 days.
Yeah, that's about 2 hours and 2.5 hours north of me, but it got cold here a couple of days. I was surprised. I was forced to put on a jacket. Isn't that terrible?
You would have been given, if it snowed down there, you would have been one of the few who would know how to give expert shoveling directions.
That's right. You know, it's funny because I took my kids for some ice cream. They have these racetrack gas stations down here, and they have like self-serve and everything like that, where you can actually, serve yourself. And I don't even know how they calculate how much it is, but you go up to the counter and you say, "Oh, my kid's getting a thing of ice cream and whatever." And they have all the toppings and everything like that. And it's free. My kids are free. I complain about how cold it is outside, and they want ice cream, right? So we go in there, and it's usually at night after I take them out to dinner or something like that. It's funny because they put and I'm sure I probably would have done the same thing when I was a kid. Every ice cream that you could put, there's like 14 flavors. They got everything in this one little cup. It's like about 20 feet high. And then that's not bad. Then they got to add all the toppings on top of it. So when they're done, it actually looks like, it's actually pretty cool looking. It looks like some kind of a Picasso work of art or something like that. Michelangelo might have made this thing. But because they've mixed so many things together that there's no way they're going to eat all that, right?
Yeah. So who ends up? You eat it at the end or what? Or you throw it out?
No, I don't need ice cream. I'll be destroyed. My stomach will be destroyed. So what happens is they wind up mixing everything together, and all those different colors and beautiful, the beautiful thing that they created becomes like, it looks like poop, basically. It turns brown, because when you mix too many colors together, they turn brown, right?
Yeah. All of them.
And then they don't want it. Then they wind up throwing it in the garbage. So luckily, racetrack is a lot cheaper than somebody. I don't know if you've taken your kids for ice cream at ice cream places recently. It's like $35 you'll get out of it if you're lucky.
I remember when I had my two oldest kids, me and my wife, and we broke the $10 barrier.
$10 is cheap,
like, oh my gosh, that was for 4 people when they were, 14 years ago. But
you take 3 kids for ice cream, and I'm not even eating it. It'll be $35. But if you go to racetrack, so here, I made a little slide. Called them the ice cream artists. That was my. That's what we did, and they had fun, but yeah, we got a lot going on. I gotta, one of the. I would say he's almost like an urban legend. Like Jeff King, we've talked about him. He was the original Neckzilla before Rubio Mascara took over the Neckzilla moniker. But Jeff King was a freak. Obviously, he worked with Bob. You knew Jeff back in the day, and he was the guy that everyone thought was going to beat Lee Haney. He never wound up competing against Lee Haney, but. He's almost like an urban legend, right? I mean, you hear a lot about him, but no one really ever saw him compete except for like the real throwbacks like you and guys like that from those years, Jerry Scalisi. And but I got a Jeff King sighting. I have some guy who my friend Jim, will send me stuff when it pops up, and I'm always interested, Chris, because guys with good genetics, they always have good genetics if they continue to train. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah, of course.
So,
Jeff had incredible genetics.
what do you think was what held him back? I know he had some injuries, right? Didn't he have some injuries toward the end of his career?
The neck injury, and he's a perfectionist. So, if you can't train all out,
I
why
would rather
train
not
back?
do it at all. Yeah.
He had the neck. So like shoulder presses, bench presses, can't squat,
With a
He was
neck
in a
like
car
that, he had a neck injury. Isn't that kind of like almost like almost like an irony? If you called neckzilla, you shouldn't have any neck injuries.
I
Right?
never even thought of that, Dave. Isn't that funny? Never,
Never crossed your mind.
never crossed my mind. He got in a car accident and that was it. It was training was at subpar level, and
Well,
when you're OCD, which he is, right?
Yeah.
You can't train the way you want to train. You can't train.
Right.
I mean, if you can't train the way you want to train, it's almost like saying, well, I just can't diet anymore. I don't have the will to diet. They say, why can't that guy ever get in shape anymore? He can't diet.
Well, isn't that the reason why you don't go to the gym?
Yeah, Dave, I couldn't remember. I couldn't figure it out. We were on that bridge in Miami. I remember you've been. This was like 14 years ago, and you're like, why won't you go to the gym? And you said, I got it. You can only go all out, or you won't go at
Or
all.
not at all. Yeah.
It's like a race car driver wanting to like putt around in a Pinto and like speed as fast as he can go down, running down the interstate.
You can't do it. Yeah.
Why bother? That's why I always think like people like, oh, I'm staying in shape. I'm like, dude, you used to be like 290. Now you're 190. You might as well just do some cardio and eat cleaner.
Yeah. When Romano does like his and he peels off his shirt and hits his abs, I'm like, John, you can't do that, John. Like I can never do that. Like if someone snaps a picture of me and puts it up, like I'm mortified. Like I'm like and Arnold said the same thing. Arnold's like, I looked at myself in the mirror the other day. I've said this a million times too. I'm not losing my mind. And Arnold was like, I was disgusted by what I saw, because he's thinking about what he looked like back in the 70s and 80s, even into the 90s.
And like thin skin. Arnold had great skin tone, right?
Arnold had like one of the best chests of all time, right? And and he's like, I'm looking at my chest and my I got like boobs and they're hanging, It's like, what happened to that chest? How do you go from like that huge chest to no chest?
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
But you got like Skip 82. I'm sure guarantees just leaving the gym like an hour ago. Skip Robinson, he trained this morning.
Exactly.
His best friend Marty probably 81 deadlifted 405 for 3 a few weeks ago.
I got to say, I'm not lifting that crazy, but our good friend Scooter Honig sent me some pictures of his legs. They look fucking shredded too. He's almost 70, right?
He's in his 60s, and his legs will be better than Olympians who have retired at 60. Oh,
yeah.
And then he'll tell me, hey, my legs are better than so-and-so's.
I think Scooter's closer to 70. I think he's 70.
I think he's
right.
Yeah, I bet he is. I think he is 70. That's insane.
Yeah. Well, pretty soon you and I will be saying 60, so young, because we're going to be 60 pretty soon.
When I was 40, people said, "Oh, it's still young." I'm like, it's not young. 20 is young. Let me clarify.
I'll be 58 next week. I'm like, it's getting close. All right, let me pull the Jeff King sighting up here. Hold on. I don't know if this is his daughter interviewing him or what, but let's play it. How can I do this? Hold on. There we go.
Hi, I'm Maddie, and today I'm here to interview.
Can you hear that, Chris?
No, it's too low.
Oh, there's no audio? Oh, shoot. All right, well, it doesn't matter. This is, I think, his daughter interviewing him. I just want to see what Jeff looks like now. It doesn't matter what he's saying. Look at his arms. I think he's got 20-inch arms still, Chris.
Yeah, he's peeled.
Right?
Yeah, he looks.
How funny is that?
He hasn't changed. You know what I mean? He still looks young too, right?
He's unbelievable. The reason I'm showing it is because that's called genetics. Like this guy, and he still trains. He's got a 20-inch arm. His biceps is still freaky. His neck just got skinny. That's why you wouldn't recognize him. Other than that, he looks pretty much the same with a little goatee. Unbelievable.
Those pictures you put up, those first 3 pictures, he looks ridiculous, right?
Oh,
You're talking
yeah.
35 years ago. Look at that one. That
Yeah.
I don't think I saw the other one. Not the one on the magazine cover, the other one.
Yeah. Did Bob take that picture?
Yeah, Bob took it.
Hold on.
Go back to the first one, like the stage one, the most muscular.
Hold on.
Oof,
That's a sick shot. That's a sick
pretty
shot.
brutal, dude.
How many guys look that good these days? Chris,
Huh?
not many. How many guys these days look that good? You know?
God, he looks good there, man. Look at that.
Yeah, he'd still be able to compete even these
Look at
even
look at
these days.
the condition, the separation, and
You think his arms are jimmied up?
absolutely not.
No, he didn't. They didn't even know what jimmying up was back then.
Yeah, of course. God.
It's crazy. His arms are like 22 inches right there.
Look at the shoulder striations, the tie-ins, the pecs are phenomenal. That's what people don't realize how good his pecs were.
I know. His quads were fucking second to none with those calves. I mean, just ridiculous.
Well, you know what he had too? He had hamstring separation like cords. Anyone who worked with Bob had cords for hamstrings.
Now, why is that? Why was the separation in the hamstring so good back then, you think?
I don't know.
Was it a training thing, or was it like a posing? I don't know.
People really emphasize. I don't know. People emphasize hamstrings now, but no idea. He stumped me. Stumped. He looks crazy there.
He was definitely ahead of his time, though. I mean, like for sure, physique wise. I don't know if it was a genetic thing, or was he just like such an intense trainer that he and he was a hyper responder, obviously. But
like everything, combination of.
I think it was his intense training. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, intense training, intense mindset. Super organized. Goes back to OCD, Dave.
Yeah, but you know what it is? Yeah, OCD definitely helps bodybuilding. But do you see those arms he has today? Even he's got some genes. There's some genetics there. You know what I mean? Because he probably doesn't eat 6 meals a day anymore. I'm sure.
Oh God.
He probably eats 3 times a day, and he's got those freaky arms. And see, when I was in high school, I don't know if you noticed this too, because I think you kind of have a similar physique. When we were younger, probably we had similar physiques. There were guys in high school with arms. You know who they were. They just had genetic arms. And I had this skinny little arm, which was functional for sports. Very very functional for sports. Those big guys weren't good at sports because they weren't usually that fast. But they just, you could tell that they had something genetically going on that you and I didn't have. But we went to the gym hoping to achieve what they had.
After 2 years, your arms catch up with his arms, and the kid doesn't lift weights, right?
Yeah, then he lifts weights for 6 months, and he's got 20-inch arms.
Yeah, and they kill you when they say, "Hey, Dave, you see so and so's arms now? They're giant."
Right.
You're like,
right. I had a friend, may rest in peace, Larry Ushaw. I think I told you the story. He jumped off the Verrazano Bridge. He actually lived, but then he died of an overdose several years later. Very good friend. I know him since nursery school. He lived around the corner from me. And he started working out in his house. And he had a Mike Tyson voice, the nicest guy. And he became a lawyer. And he had the craziest arms. He started working out. He was working out 6 months. I'm like, what are you doing? His arms, he had like triceps and biceps, and like he had the brachialis in the middle. he used to eat ice cream. He thought ice cream was He goes, I'd go over his house and we work out. When I was in high school, I thought I was a big shot because he had a weight set. And he'd be like, "Yeah, we gotta get protein." He goes, and he'd have Friendly's ice cream because his father was a distributor for them or something like that. They had like all those half gallons in the freezer, and we would eat. I thought I was putting muscle on. He was actually growing from the ice cream.
he was following.
I'll never forget, John. Chris. His father had chicken cordon bleus in the freezer and Friendly's ice cream. That's all they had in there, because his father was like a restaurant distributor too, and so we would eat chicken. I didn't even know what chicken cordon bleu was. I was eating these. I said, "Dad, I'm eating." What? He goes, "What'd you eat at Larry's house?" He goes, "I said chicken cordon bleu." He goes, "Chicken cordon bleu? Where'd you get him?" I said, "I don't know. He had him in his freezer." He goes, "Father delivers to the restaurant place." They fell off the truck. So I would eat that and Friendly's ice cream. And he had 20-inch arms from that, in high school. I had 12-inch arms,
Yeah. Well, that's where people get excited about jimmying and them up.
The funny thing was I had 12-inch arms, but I had a lot of veins down those 12-inch arms, so everyone used to say to me, if you put on some muscle, you're going to look pretty freaky. I said, all right, well, that's all the inspiration I need, right? But yeah, your genetics play a huge role in how you're going to look. And look at Evan. Evan Centopani, fat kid, probably got picked on, right? They probably said, stop feeding him so much when he was a kid, and which probably led to his eating obsession later in life. But the kid could pack muscle on like you've never seen. I mean, when he started working out, he just got
exploded.
Monstrous.
Yeah.
I met him in an airport. True story. I was when I was in my little stint in federal prison in 2005. I'd gotten out, I think July 1st, and he had just competed at the Atlantic States and won the overall. I think it was his very first show.
What year?
This is 05.
Yeah.
So now we're going to, I think, the Olympia, and we're in the airport. I'm in the airport, and he's sitting right next to me. I didn't even know who he was because I was out of the loop for that 6 months of the year. And he goes, you're Dave Palumbo. Yeah. He goes, I'd like to work with you. I don't have a coach, but I competed recently, and I'm like thinking, he's like, you want to see some pictures? I said, yeah, sure. He takes his phone out, showing me some pictures, and I'm like, holy shit. I said, what show did you do? He goes, Atlantic States. I said, did you win? He goes, yeah. I said, I said, you look like you could be a pro. I said, I couldn't believe how good he looked, and he didn't know what he was doing.
Right? The shoulders and arms.
Oh my God, the arms and chest and shoulder. Yeah, he's just freaky. So I said, so we started working together. He's like, yeah, I'd like to work with you. I said, all right, yeah. So we planned, and we did the junior nationals the year after, which he won, and he took second at the nationals about 8 weeks after that. And then he won the nationals the following year. But it was like, I was like, I couldn't believe it. And when he was showing me pictures of when he was a kid, how fat he was, I was like, no one in a million years would have guessed that this kid would have been. And I really believe that, and you worked with Evan too. I think that Evan could have been top 3 at the Olympia, if not Mr. Olympia, if he would have had that desire. I don't think that was his desire. I think he just, he enjoyed bodybuilding. He likes making a good living from it, but I don't think he was willing to do what it took to get to that, top.
Yeah, he was pretty phenomenal.
I mean, he's genetic freak.
Do you have a picture of him when he was a kid so that people can see
Yeah, let's see if I can pull up Evan Centopani.
He was peeled, right?
No, it's a kid. He's a fat. My father would call it badoots or whatever they used to call it. Right?
He looked like he had a pass from the Wawa ice cream station or whatever. What's the place where you guys went to?
Good humor, man. Right, my father would say. Right,
Good humor, man. What gas station did you go to where they had the machine?
Oh, racetrack.
Racetrack.
See if I don't know if this is a good one or not. I'm trying to look up.
Yeah, he had sent me that picture, or someone sent me that picture, and I was like, "This can't be Evan." When he was a kid.
Yeah, he was a fat little kid. Who was fat? John Romano was a fat kid too.
That's why he likes showing his abs. He's so proud of them at 6.
Yeah. No, I know. Exactly. No, but I truly believed that Evan was going to go all the way, in bodybuilding. This is really not a good picture of him because he kind of looks all right here. I don't know where the fat picture is. I can't find the fat picture. Let me see if I can pull this picture up at least.
Google fat little kid, and
I did. Yeah, you would think it would come up. He probably had him. He probably had him wiped off the internet because.
Well, you can post someone, and I can confirm that Evan was fatter than that.
Yeah, that's him as a kid, but that's he's already lost some weight.
He already slimmed down a lot.
But
he's got the diet face going on in that picture.
Yeah, well, those look like the Parabanel pictures, that Bleckman had taken of him. I was the true story. The one major magazine I was supposed to be on the cover of, Bleckman was going to put me on the cover of Muscular Development, and because I had taken over as the I had started the position as head of digital, editor in chief of the digital, right, online.
Why? Who was online? Who was offline? Who was in the who was the head of? Who was the?
Romano was the senior editor, but Blackman was the editor in chief. Okay, he gave himself the title, but Romano was the senior editor of the magazine, and I was the editor in chief of the online website. So to launch the ND Digital, as he was calling it, he was going to give me the cover shot, which I had never been on the cover, and he had some great Parabanal pictures he was going to put on the cover. Would have been a great thing, and it was the first. I had been on some covers of some minor magazines, but that was going to be the first major magazine, and. So I tell him, I said, Steve, you got to see this kid, Evan Centopani. I'm helping. He's doing junior nationals. This kid is I'm telling you, he's going to be the next big thing. And, Blackman's all excited. Let me see pictures. And so Evan goes and wins the junior nationals. And he's like, all right, we got to shoot him. And he's like, make sure so we get him. I'm going to say Parabanal's going to shoot you. They're going to fly to California, whatever. And, so I'm in the office with him, and he's like, we're looking at the cover shots, and he's like, I think we're going to put Evan on the cover. I said, Steve, you told me I'm going to get the cover. I wound up getting a little inset on the cover shot, and Evan got the whole cover. No one knew who Evan was, but listen, he deserved the cover because he's a very good-looking kid and marketable. And I didn't argue with him at all, but my discovery of Evan cost me my cover shot for the muscular.
Blackman didn't want to go with like an Italian moniker up for the cover, like two Italians on the cover.
I think he was something like Italian Stallion or some shit like that, or he had some kind of one of his cutesy little taglines that he used. But yeah, that was Evan. But that once again goes back to genetics. Listen, Ronnie Coleman, before he ever lifted a weight, had probably 20-inch arms too. I'm convinced of that. I know Brian Dobson told me when he walked into the gym for the first time he had 20-inch arms. Now I don't know if he was working out in football, in high school or whatever, or college, but he wasn't bodybuilding for sure. But he had crazy arms too. So I mean, Ronnie's mother has 20-inch arms, and she never lifted a weight in her life. You remember that?
She had big arms. She had guns. What contest was Ronnie's first nationals? Did he get fourth or fifth?
Ronnie?
Yes.
Ronnie did the nationals and was fifth, and then he did. They asked him to do the World Amateur Championships because no one could pass the drug test, and he got his pro card. Third show.
He got when he got fifth. I got to the auditorium wherever it was, Dave, and people were talking about this guy from Texas with
arms. In Pittsburgh. It was in Pittsburgh, yeah.
And they were talking. No, the Pittsburgh was the drug tested one because I was coaching Cormier, and Cormier got second to him.
No, it's 91. Remember they didn't have a venue, and Levrone won that
first. 91 was not his first nationals.
It wasn't.
No.
Oh, I thought his first show was in 90. Did he do the nationals in 90 too?
Pittsburgh. It definitely was not Pittsburgh. Whenever he did the nationals in Pittsburgh. Are you thinking the one with Levrone?
Yeah, I thought that wasn't his first.
His first show. It was like the year before.
Oh.
And I got to the venue, like a big, just the trade show. And at the trade show, people came up to me to say, this guy from Texas with arms, Ronnie Coleman natural. That was the sentence out of everyone's mouth.
Right.
And of course, what would you say, Dave, when you see him?
There's no way that you would think he was natural. But
that's what I said. That's what I said. And then Cormier.
Look at Ronnie's mother with delts and arms, and she'd never worked out a day in her life.
She's got the same smile and laugh. You know what I mean?
I love it. She was an awesome woman too.
She went up on stage and hit a front double. I mean, a right arm with him, and her arm was like crazy piece.
Yeah, and she all she did was lift up probably dishes to wash.
Maybe London can get in touch with her and talk to her about competing to keep women's bodybuilding alive.
I don't know. She's no longer with us. May she rest in peace.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, his mom passed. But yeah, crazy genetics, man. Hold on, I got a flexing picture. Hold on with that. This is even better. Hold on, if I can get this thing to show up. Hold on.
Yeah, people didn't believe that she'd never trained arms, never trained anything before. They figured.
No, it's just you gotta hold on. That's why you have to understand that there's a genetic component to bodybuilding that if you're in denial of, I mean, you're in the clouds, your head, because you're competing against that. Imagine that, having that as your mother. How could you not have a great physique with that? And then you put the work ethic that Ronnie had into what he did, and the dedication, never missing a workout, never missing a meal. Yeah, he ate a little too much barbecue sauce, but he did 3 hours of cardio. He didn't care.
Yeah.
I mean,
it goes back to Jeff, Dave. You know what? This is 98, 15 years before was those pictures of Jeff.
I
Can
know,
you imagine
right?
he would have developed into it?
Oh my God. If he would have had if he didn't get hurt and he would have kept going.
That most muscular, that beats a lot of people.
How does Jeff? I mean, you saw Jeff on stage. I mean, he's not as wide. He could have been a little wider, but you saw Jeff on stage. How would that have done against Lee Haney? See, I didn't see those guys compete, so I can't.
I think the 83 Jeff would have been extremely competitive with the 83 Lee Haney.
Yeah, well, what did Haney won in '84, right? The Olympia? Because Samir won 8.
Yeah. Yes, Haney won. Or did it? Haney won in '85.
'84 was his first year.
Okay, so I'm just saying Jeff won the
Mr. Universe.
Yeah. Lee Haney won the nationals.
Right. Yeah. So Haney won nationals in '80.
I would say Jeff was one of them at that point.
You think Jeff was better? Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably more complete. Yeah.
I mean, who's most muscular would be better?
Haney had a pretty deadly most muscular, but I think that Jeff had better legs and arms. So
how about fine detail and density?
Right.
In that
definitely Jeff. Yeah, but Haney had the back. That was Haney's thing. The back was phenomenal. That front lat spread was deadly.
Yeah, front lat spread was deadly. Jeff's was pretty damn good too because he had the super cap triceps.
Right. But yeah, Jeff's front double would have destroyed Haney because Haney didn't have like the.
You mean Haney?
Arms. Haney didn't have the arm. Yeah.
Well, Haney had the taper, I thought.
Jeff had a good taper. Jeff had those crazy abs too, Yeah,
he had a great midsection. Another Bob Gruskin forte, hamstrings and abs.
Midsections, yeah, I know.
Crazy abs.
Did Bob believe in training abs? Or did he say?
Yeah.
Did he?
Absolutely.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Absolutely.
I don't know why these guys think you don't have to train abs. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Ever.
Because you lose abdominal control when you don't train them. That's what people don't realize.
Well, when you lose abdominal control, then your gut hangs out, even if you don't have one.
Yeah, even if you don't. Exactly. 100%. I wanted to bring up. Let's bring us up to the modern era here. I see Hadi Choopan has been releasing some updates. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Let me just pull this up. This is 5 weeks out from the Arnold. So if any of you guys were wondering if Hadi was going to make it to the Arnold, he obviously has every intention to do it. I believe he's in Dubai now with the visa. Now there was some. Well, let's just check everything out. What do you think? He looks pretty freaky to me.
Yeah, it looks freaky.
And this is interesting. Now I like to ask you psychology because you're very good at figuring people's psychology. Why all of a sudden Hadi never shows anything, right? We never see anything from him leading up to a show. Why is Hadi making this bold statement and showing how he looks?
He feels left out. He feels left out.
But it doesn't seem like it ever bothered him in the past, though.
It does now.
What do you think has changed?
Because he was second at the Olympia and didn't win it. And then the year before he was second at the Olympia. So he feels like he's got to play catch up. That's the psychology of it. And he probably doesn't believe in the idea that of hype, but hype is real. So
Mhm.
when Andrew has a photo and it's like endless hype, right?
Right.
You don't want to get like left behind on the hype train.
Right. But there's been, there's been a lot of blowback on Hadi that there never was before in his country, where people are tearing down his pictures off the gym walls and they're saying that he shouldn't be allowed to compete. And there's a lot of the bad. The first time I've ever seen like there be like a tension.
All that
Usually his
tension
country is all behind
prior,
him.
Dave, all that tension was directed towards other competitors.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying why all of a sudden, I mean, we know why. I mean, they think he's like, a pawn of the government, which is ridiculous. The guy's as an athlete. He
But
trains.
it says more about the fans than it does about him.
It does, but sometimes when you think like your fans are not behind you, it can make you feel less than confident in yourself. And I think maybe that's why he's. It's almost like he's going to the court of public appeal. Well, you know what? If you guys in my country don't want to support me, the rest of the bodybuilding world supports me, and I'm going to show them what I got. That I almost feel like that's his reason for displaying that.
Yeah, I think it's by reason.
There was some rumors too that I heard last week that although Hadi had a visa to come to the country, which was what we were, worried about, and even though he was in Dubai, that the Arnold Classic people were not going to let him compete. For what reason, I don't know, but that's what I was hearing. I contacted Brian Powers, who runs the Arnold Classic for Arnold. He personally texted me and then called me back, and we had a great conversation about how ridiculous that rumor was. Of course, Arnold would never ever, say you can't come here. I mean, the guy, they're more than happy that Hadi has number one got his visa, that he's in Dubai already, and that he's gonna have no problem getting here. It was a ridiculous rumor. I don't know if it was meant to shed terrible light on Arnold or what, but
it was probably created by the people who the fair weather fans who lobbied not to allow him to compete in the first place.
Right. You're probably right.
Does King Kamali want to see him compete?
I should ask him. I don't know I know they don't like each other,
Right.
but then
It's the only question worth asking. Anything else, asking
King Kamali
does not matter.
You said King Kamali is the unapproved king of Iran, right? Of Iranian bodybuilding.
He's the DC Shah. Ask the DC Shah if he supports Hadi competing at the Arnold.
I'll ask him. We'll break his balls.
He'll tell you a lot. If the answer yes will tell you a lot, no will tell you a lot.
Listen, I'm of the belief that athletes should be completely separated from whatever is politically going on from where they come from. That they should not be linked to that in any way whatsoever, unless they're making outrageous statements, about the politics. But most athletes don't want anything to do with it because they just want to do their sport. That's what they love. Most athletes have no interest in politics at all, it's a shame when they get sucked into the politics of what's going on. And sometimes they get sanctioned because of that. Luckily, Hadi was able to get out into Dubai, and he got his visa to come here, which I never really thought that there was going to be a problem with the visa because the guy has come here so many times already. I have to believe that he's grandfathered in at this point. I don't see them seeing him as a threat at this point. So I'm glad that he got his visa. And I'm glad. Look, I'm glad he's going to be in the lineup. He's the number one ranked guy in the Arnold at this point. We can say that Andrew Jack looks amazing, and some people might think that Andrew deserved to beat him at the Olympia or whatever the case may be, but he didn't. Hadi was second. He's had more seconds in the last 5 years than anyone else, and he's the guy to beat. So
he's won the Olympia.
Yeah, and he was very close last year.
He's won the Arnold. He's won the Olympia.
Mm-hmm.
He's beaten
and his Arnold look is probably the best we've ever seen of him.
I agree.
If he could duplicate that, forget about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be lights out. I don't think anyone can touch that. Now, looking at that video that we were just playing, how close do you think he is? Is he 5 weeks out, or is he ready to go now? How do you see it?
He looks incredible.
Is that the look you want to see of him on stage? Or does he need to come down a little more from this?
I think he looks like stage ready.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking to myself. I hope he doesn't go lower than this. You know what I mean? Because I think maybe he might
Well, I mean,
sacrifice.
sometimes you can look stage ready, but you know, how many times does someone look stage ready and then on stage you're like, oh, you get in tighter?
I got to give Hadi like kudos. I think he's the only bodybuilder who posts on Instagram who doesn't filter his pictures. Maybe other people filter pictures of him that they put up, but I don't think he filters. I don't even think he knows how to filter them. You know, he's just like, here I am. This is what I look like. You know, the lighting may not be that great, but you know, it doesn't matter because I'm shredded to the bone. You know, that's what we want to see. We want to see guys that are like, you know, willing to lay it on the line and say, here I am. I think it's a good move for him. Speaking of freaks, Samson just keeps gaining weight. You know, Samson is interesting because Samson was saying, I remember right after the Olympia, if you remember he did that shit like 2 weeks after he was like 300 pounds. He's like, I can gain weight, no problem. He goes, I have no problem gaining weight. For me, it's, you know, the dieting down process. And everyone thought he was like, yeah, he's just talking. The guy has been gaining like 10 pounds every 2 weeks. It seems like, I don't know how he's doing it. I hope he doesn't give himself a heart attack, you know, from all the fluid he's retaining. But he's like 257 or 357 now. Do you see these pictures?
He looks foolish.
He looks like he makes the other guy look like he's like a junior mint next to him, you know. Crazy.
That's what you know. I mean, he's standing next to someone, makes him look like a bikini.
But look how small that guy is. Not small. He's a big dude.
Oh. If the guy had come out first by himself, it would have looked good. You would have said, look at the hamstring drop, the shoulders, the arms. He just looks like a caricature of a bodybuilder compared to Samson. That's how.
You know, if Samson was about 2 inches wider, you know, I would almost potentially confuse him for Ronnie Coleman from behind.
Yeah, he looks ginormous here.
I mean, his back is dense and thick. I think that you know what is? I just think he hasn't figured out how to lean himself out without losing that mass. Like I think it's like it's like he's like going too much in each direction. I think when he finds that balance, he's going to be deadly. I mean, because he's not holding a lot of body fat right here. He's got abs. 357.
It's crazy that day.
I mean, let's say he's got 25 pounds of water on him. All right, just for argument's sake. All right, I like to analyze these things. Right. So let's say he's got 25 pounds of water. So if he's got 25 pounds of water, he's what? That makes him 315, right?
No, what is his body weight right now? 150?
He's 357.
157 kilos, right? Or no?
No, he's 357 pounds, he said. According to this, according to what the update says. He's 357 pounds.
357.
All right, so if we take 25 pounds off, that takes us down to 332. Okay?
Hold on, let me get my calculator. So
at 332, pounds with no water on him. Okay, that's how much fat can that possibly be on that body?
I don't know. You tell
20
me.
pounds the most. He's got to be he could be 315 on stage. Stage ready. I think.
Oh yeah, that's Andrew's weight. 315 today.
Yeah, but Andrew's a little taller than him. But I'm just saying
smaller waist.
Yeah. But I'm saying Samson could legitimately be 315, 320 on the Olympia stage. And I think that would be a great look for him. I think he was under, I think he was only, what was he, 300 last year or something like that?
There's no
maybe
weight.
under that. He might have been under that.
0 weight.
So,
pounds.
What do you think he weighed last year?
281.
Okay. All right. So there you go. So he probably was 20 pounds too light for his frame, but it looks like he's added at least 15 pounds of muscle. if I do my calculations correctly. And he could be very dangerous later this year if he can maintain this muscle mass and keep improving, because he's definitely a freak of nature. He wasn't kidding. I like when people could live up to to what they say. There's not many people. Most people are full of shit. I can't even tell you how many people would never get on the scale. Remember back in the day when people would lie about their weight?
Oh God.
That was a big thing in the 90s and early 2000s. Everyone lied about their weight.
Come on. At the Olympia, you ask people their weight, everyone lies about it.
Do you know, this is true. I've told this story before too. So once again, I'm not losing my mind, but it's worth repeating. I know for a fact, because he told me, that when Craig Titus would weigh in, because we used to do weigh-ins, and everyone would announce everyone's weight, he would buy these fishing weights. The weights that make the fishing line go down, and he would put them in his posing trunk. He would fill them with these fishing weights so that he would weigh in heavier than like he'd get himself up 5 pounds supposedly, like above what he was really weighing in at. So his weight would seem heavier.
What point? What was the point? So that judges think that what they're looking at is actually
right.
Not what they're looking at, that he's actually bigger than what he really is.
Right, that he put on size from the year before or whatever, more size than he said he did, that kind of. Because, rather than show up at 335 and just be awesome.
That's from OCD. That's like a sociopath, psychopath.
Well, Craig is definitely a sociopath. That there's no doubt about that. We know that already, But he always had some angle on how to, I think I told you this story when I was in my little stint for 5 months. He had done a year and a half or 2 years or something like that over in California. When I did my 5 months stint, the assistant warden was this black guy, and he came up to me one day. I was sitting and eating, and he's like, I just want to let you know, I know all about that. I know all about those tricks. I said, what? I said, I didn't even know what he was talking about. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, I was out in California. I was the warden out there where your buddy, like he was my buddy. Like your buddy Titus was all bodybuilders are buddies, right, with each other. Your buddy Titus was out there, and he was, I guess, from what this guy told me, Craig would have these fucking women that were like groupies of his come to the outer perimeter of the prison and throw like bags of stuff over the fence, so that he can get I don't even know what they were setting, food, protein powders, probably steroids, who the hell knows. And he's like, I would intercept him every single time. He said, he goes, he wasn't smarter than me. So if you have any ideas, I said, I don't remember what the guy's name was. I said, we don't have any fences here, because I was in this country club. I said, there's no fences here. They could throw it like a football to me. I said, what am I doing? I said, I don't even compete anymore. He said, I'm just letting you know. He goes, I'm just letting you know. I said, well, thanks for the Titus story. I said, I'm sure I'll tell it to someone at someday. And we'll have a good laugh about it.
Titus.
But yeah, that was Titus. He was always thought he had an angle. Matter of fact, if you remember, before he went to prison.
The flip side is, I wonder if the thought went through his head that he weighs in 5 or 6 pounds bigger than he really is, and you sit down and you're a judge and you're like, funny, he doesn't look 236. He looks more like 230. Where's 236? I don't see it.
I don't know. It's funny though. But I guess weight was a big deal back then. Luckily, I was always the biggest guy, so it never really messed with my head. So I always weighed the most. Now, the interesting, getting back to Titus for a second. So the way Titus actually wound up in prison the first time for steroids was because
he was in prison. You just as you're saying it now, I didn't even know he.
He did.
Bud had been. Had done
he had gotten probation, and he was on probation. He didn't have prison time originally. He was on probation, and he was getting drug tested. And I remember, I don't know if I think it was Matt Duvall who told me this. Matt said that because Matt was friends with Craig, or I think Matt was out in California living with Craig or something like that at the time and hanging out with him. And I guess Craig had to go and pee in a cup, once a month to the probation officer. And he was bragging to Matt that it was some woman and like a young woman, and he's like, yeah, I was flirting with her, and I'm paying her off on the side. He was bribing her to so that he can pass these drug tests because he was doing steroid, he was doing everything, But little did he know, the woman really wasn't. The woman was marking down all these drug failures, and after he had 3 in a row, that's where they violated him, and he wound up going back to prison because of his.
He thought he was passing the test for $20.
He thought he was going through. He tested positive for everything: steroids, coke. Yeah. It was, you name it. It was on the. He failed the test for it because he thought he wasn't being tested. So that's what a sociopath Craig was. Crime doesn't pay. But if you get caught, follow the rules. That's the rule. That's my recommendation. So, yeah. Anyway, so we got the Arnold coming up. Hottie's firing the warning shots. We've seen the updates from Andrew. I might as well pull them up again in case.
Yeah, we're going to see the updates from everyone coming up. No, people can't keep their clothes on.
Now, well, it's all right. It's all right. We'll take it. We'll take it. I wanted to pull up this guy. Have you seen this guy? We've seen pictures of him before, but he might make Andreas Munzer look like he's like he wasn't really in shape. He's obviously not as big as Munzer, but have you seen this guy? Kevon Al-Fadi.
Oh God, it's so filtered. It's beyond. It's
I know.
Like, can we please get him in a contest to see how he like?
I went on his page to look, and these are more. He's lean. He's not that big, but he's lean.
He's no leaner right there than like 8 out of 10.
No. I know.
Nationals competitors.
He's got the good side shots. He's got the good side leg and the glutes and stuff like that.
He's pretty grainy. His pecs are strided.
And he had that weird like dream tan on, which makes you look like freaky. From the side, he's got the good side leg details, stuff like that. But what this really shows you is that if you train hard and you diet hard enough, you should be able to get ripped. You know what I mean? And like I said, while that might not be realistic because he's got that crazy coloring on, everyone should hang that picture on their refrigerator and say, you know what, this is what I aspire to be on stage. This lean.
Where's he from?
I don't know. He looks like George Farah. I wouldn't be surprised if he's from Lebanon. I don't know. What does it say? Is there a translation here? I don't know. Not sure.
Is he from Iran?
I don't know. Let me see. No one's saying. It's not saying here. We'll ask Kamali. He'll know.
Do they have the fans have the Iranian flag on the comments?
Oh my God! Yeah, it's crazy. This is like the first time I think I've ever seen like politics really get somehow injected into bodybuilding. Why are the Iranian fans so upset with Hadi? Well, I'd like your take on it because you have a. I'm more enlightened. You're more like realistic about what goes on.
The diaspora, so the Iranians who don't live in Iran.
Okay.
They don't. Most of them who are, you would see on like Instagram, like bodybuilding related,
mm-hmm.
They don't want to see Khomeini as the supreme leader there, bottom line.
Right.
So any quasi support that is implied that Hadi has for Khomeini is seen as something that they don't like. That is it in a nutshell.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. I understand.
Unlike this country, unlike this guy, which is very different. But, you can say somebody could compete at the Olympia. They take a lot of flack at the Olympia. Nick Walker or
right.
Americans, Lunsford, they could talk crap about Trump all day long or support Trump. I mean, there is a major difference, of course. So I don't want to hear that from my Iranians living in Washington, D.C., but, they'd still support the athlete. They'd still support the bodybuilder, no matter how negative the American bodybuilder may say something against the government.
Right.
They're not the same, but you can they can make the distinction between the bodybuilder and his political view.
Right.
And I
I think
if you've said it on this show, is judges can too. In other words, we want to see the best bodybuilder win.
absolutely.
Period.
It's always the goal. Well, I think Lee Priest said it best too. Lee defended Hadi, and he said that listen, Hadi has to exist. He has to live in the country of Iran.
He's in Dubai, Dave. I'll be the opposing. He's from Dubai. He's in Dubai. He's not even there. Staying at the Four Seasons.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people think that Hadi's family is in Dubai, but he has multiple children, from what I understand, and they're not all in Dubai. So he has to survive and live in Iran, okay, and go there. And that means he has to deal with the government. And the government probably loves him because he's a great, that's bodybuilding is a big sport in Iran. It's probably number 2 behind soccer. So, I mean, of course, they're going to use him. Hey, we got Mr. Olympia here. And if he wants to have the perks of being able to live there and be free there, then he's got to support, at least in word, the government there. If he wasn't living there, he can say whatever he wants, but he is living there. So, and he does have relatives and kids there and stuff like that. So I completely understand where he's towing the line at this point. And Lee really stuck up for him, which I thought was great. Lee hates any kind of injustice anywhere, obviously, but
I've said it before, Dave, on the show. I'm always for the bodybuilder, so I support.
Yes, me too. Me too.
The bodybuilder. He's dedicated his entire being, the last 15 years to be where he is.
Sure.
And he's accomplished. His accomplishments are incredible. From moving from 212 to open to winning Arnold's Olympias, to winning them convincingly. And if he doesn't win, to be right on the cusp for multiple years in a row now.
Yeah.
And, anyone who's competed at the highest level, and you and I have not, but it's all encompassing. And
absolutely.
While I don't want him to win and beat the guy, you know what I mean?
You're helping. Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad he's there. I support that he's being there, and I think the, bodybuilders and the bodybuilding community should support his being there.
Yeah.
And the fact that, he's there under the cloud of, maybe we'll go to war in the next 3 weeks. Who knows?
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on.
You know what I mean? He's competing at the highest level.
Yeah. I was never a huge Hadi fan, of his physique, because I think he's a little on the shorter side. I tend to like the taller guys better. But, when I see him going through this kind of mental turmoil because he's got people turning against him and saying terrible things about him, I feel like I want to support him even more now. Now all of a sudden I feel emotionally attached to him, and I'm like, now I want to see the guy do really well, because I don't like when people play smear campaigns on people for no reason, and the guy is just. He's a bodybuilder first. He could care about it. I hate to say it, he probably doesn't give a shit about anything else other than bodybuilding, pretty much. Maybe his family is probably the only thing that matters to him other than that. So I don't want to see anyone try to malign him in any way whatsoever, or try to hold him out, keep him out of competing in any shows or anything like that, because he's a bodybuilder, and I can respect the work ethic he puts into it, the dedication to his diet, to his craft, coming back year after year. Yeah, he had a little problem when he lost the Olympia. He was a little upset, obviously. Who wouldn't be, right? But he's not quitting. He's not pulling a Mike Menser or Casey Viator. He's coming back, and he's going to try to win the Arnold and win the biggest prize package ever given away to one person, which is $750,000, which we have to applaud the Arnold people for. That's a lot of money, And the Arnold UK, which I don't know if Hottie is going to do, which is 2 weeks after that, Arnold is $250 for first place. So you could ostensibly win $1 million in 2 weeks. I mean, that's insane. And more than likely, whoever wins the Arnold USA is going to win the Arnold UK, I would imagine, unless it's super, super close.
Well, just the idea, Dave, that his supposed fans would tag Arnold.
Yeah.
And tell Arnold, you got to keep this guy out. We don't like the way he thinks.
Which is horrendous.
We don't like his opinions or his thoughts. We used to like, we used to like from the neck down, the body, but now we hate him because we don't like what's in his head from the neck up.
Yeah.
So therefore, don't let him compete in the competition where you judge from what's from the neck down.
It's what's even more interesting, Chris? It's the fans from the US that are
steroids, Dave.
Right?
What's that? It's wokeism, cancel culture on steroids.
Well, it's worse than that because these are the Iranians who are living in the United States who are pissed at him. Okay, and they're trying to impose the same restrictions that the government of Iran does on its people in Iran. Now they want to impose on it in a free market, free economy, freedom of speech, country like the US. They want to take him out of the show because of his speech they don't like. It's the ultimate hypocrisy.
Irony and yes,
it's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy at its finest. You left Iran, you live here, you have freedom of speech. Now you want to take away this guy's freedom of speech.
Irony, Dave. No call outs. First place.
So Hottie will be coming with a vengeance. Andrew Jack obviously is looking his best. We got Martin Fitzwater, who's phenomenal. I mean, we got Nick Walker, who's looking like an absolute freak lately. It's going to be a good lineup. I'm excited. We're committed. I'm going to be there. We got our press passes approved. You're getting in what day?
Tomorrow. No, I get in. I get in. I don't come in till late. I come in Monday before the show. I think it's a Friday. Friday show, yeah. Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, that is late for you. Usually you're there 7 days before.
We have the weather that we've had like the last 7 years, and to go back to because it used to be freezing in Columbus.
I know.
Around the Arnold time, and then
it might be freezing. It might be freezing again, but last year it was unseasonably warm. I was walking around without a jacket. I remember, so it was great. But I have a feeling it's going to be cold. The great thing about the Arnold, though, is everything is self-contained. So if you stay in those, I know you always wind up staying some crazy cockamamie Airbnb, but if you stay in the hotels connected to the arena there and the expo center, you never have to even walk outside if you don't want to. So I love that. I'm staying. My good friend John Frashone, he's got a house. He said it's an 8-minute walk. I said, John, an 8-minute walk when it's 0 out, I said, is like a 2-hour walk. I said it's like the Catan Death March that they put the Germans put the soldiers through. I said I'll stay in the hotel close to the arena. Thank you.
What day do you get?
What I get in on Thursday morning, early Thursday morning. So, but yeah, so it's gonna be a great weekend. I think the Expo. Look, the Arnold Expo. Say what you want. You can compare Olympia, Arnold. You can take Olympia as a bigger show. Arnold maybe got a little more money this year, but the Expo at the Arnold is always the best. And if you're looking for an Expo experience where you want to go to booths and see a lot of stuff, the Arnold Expo is the biggest of all time. I mean, it's always been. They have so many sports going on too. I love walking through that lobby of the Hilton there, not the Hilton, the Hyatt Regency, and they actually have like sports going on in the lobby. Like they have fencing going on and people painting. They have painting competitions, and it's like every time I go there, there's like something else. There's another sport they're doing somewhere, in some little room off the main thing. If you go past the expo halls, they actually have the gymnastics set up there. I don't know if they're still doing gymnastics. I used to go watch the gymnastics. They have so much going on at that place that you can't possibly see it all. It's impossible. You cannot see everything that's going on. You have to really kind of just pick, all right, I'm here to see bodybuilding this year. I'm going to go to the bodybuilding expo. I'm going to go to the bodybuilding show. And you probably won't have time to see anything else.
Do you ask?
And that's the way it goes.
Brian Powers give any hints on lifetime achievement?
No, I didn't ask him on that one, but I would imagine it's
They keep it under wraps, right? To like the end.
I think they do. Well, they must have to tell the guy who's getting or the girl who's getting the award, right? Because they got to fly him in.
Yeah.
So I guess they keep it a secret from the fans. We'll see. I'm sure it'll be someone. You have any predictions?
Who was it last year? It was Jay 2 years ago. Who
Yeah.
was it last year? Was it Gaspari?
I don't know. I don't remember. You know what's happening, Chris, as the years progress? Because there's no magazines anymore, all the years start to merge together in my head, and I can't decipher them, like what happened at each year. But when there was magazines, we would read the magazine so many times because it was the only way to get information that you remembered everything. So I can, like the 90s, I have it like it's like in a card catalog in my head because I can picture the magazine covers that featured the winners of that year's Arnold.
I used to reference like life events to like, what year was that? And I'm like, oh yeah, the cover of like Flex magazine had like
It's true.
and so on the cover, and who won the nationals that year. There's only like one person, so I can reference how old I was or how old someone was based on bodybuilding. It's
Right.
silly.
No, I know. It's crazy, right? Oh my God. I was watching it just as a side note. I think we're running out. Are we out of time here? Let's see the time. Yeah, we're out. But I'll give you a final story. Like they used to do with the news. Remember when we used to watch the news at night? Like when people actually watched the news on TV, and they would always have like a fun, like little the last story of the night.
In the end, Panda Bear lost in downtown Houston.
I was watching Howard Stern, like a clip from his Instagram. I really don't. I was a Howard Stern fan for years. I even did my Howard Stern impression. Right. Yep. Robin. Yeah. Right. Anyway, Howard got kind of a little woke lately, but he had the actress Maureen McCormick on, who played Marsha Brady on the Brady Bunch.
Howard won't order Iranian food at Persian restaurants anymore, Dave. But
probably not. Marsha Brady was a coke addict. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
She loved coke. She said she had a lot of trouble. She wrote a book recently, and she had a lot of trouble getting off of cocaine because she loved it so much. And so she was always like it was
negatively impacting her life, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I guess what she was saying on to Howard was that she would, if you had coke, she was easy. you can sleep with her. Like a lot of these actors and stuff like that would get in her pants because she would be like, if you have coke, I'll do anything for it, And Howard's like, well, weren't you making money, like acting? She's like, yeah, but I was like, it was going into like a trust. My parents were like, taking the money, and then I had like I guess she had like a financial advisor that if she wanted money, she'd have to go to the advisor and ask him for money, and he knew she would come for every month. She'd come for her coke money, basically. She called it, because he knew what she was doing, and and he would only give her like a certain amount, like because he didn't want it, which she said was a blessing. Because when she finally got off coke, she had money left. You know what I mean? Because she didn't spend it all. Because if it was up to her own volition, she said, I would have probably gone through everything I made. And she said she had a very hard time getting off cocaine. So I have a feeling a lot of child actors back in those days were probably doing cocaine. It was, especially if they were making big money. And I think that's why a lot of them blew all their money. You hear about these 80s actors that have no money left.
Yeah.
I think they were doing drugs. I really do. A lot of them were drinking too. Nowadays you can't do that stuff anymore. They got rules and stuff like that on the set. Back then it was like, the kid actors were hanging out with the adult actors,
You're talking about kid actors.
Yeah, I'm talking like teenage, not like young kids. Like I'm talking like when they're 15, 16, 17 years old, they shouldn't be, blowing lines of coke in the bathroom with the adult actors. But I think they were doing it. They would act like they were like coke whores, these women. They were like, going to parties and shit like that at 17, And nowadays they arrest you for that stuff, but not back then. So it was pretty. I'm shocked because everyone thought Marsha Brady was such a goody two shoes. As a matter of fact, I didn't even like her because of that. I thought she was too good of a goody two shoes.
Yeah, she had.
Meanwhile, she was not. She was a coke whore. Who would have known?
The men, her accountant, and the men who got with her.
Yeah. Did you know that I didn't know when I was watching the show when I was a kid. Did you know that Mr. Brady, the father was gay?
Yeah, and the mother had an affair with the
Greg.
Yeah.
Greg Brady. Yeah, I didn't know all that.
What would your father say about that?
It would have changed my opinion of the show. I would have had different characters that I liked.
You know what? That's one of the reasons he didn't like child actors. He told me that once. He said, "I don't like child actors spoil movies and spoil TV shows."
He did say that. It ruined he liked, my father liked British actors. The British kids were fine because if they had an accent, like it added a level of authenticity to the acting that my father was okay with. He didn't like the
in movies added on berated the acting, right?
My father used to watch Masterpiece Theater.
Of course.
Remember the Masterpiece Theater on PBS?
Dave, I got a list of old films that I want to watch that I haven't even started because I was on a plane 7 months ago and they had the old time hits, like To Kill a Mockingbird and
blah,
blah, blah, and I started watching one and the dialogue is the acting, right?
If you have a VCR player, my father has all the old Turner movies that I could send them to you. You can watch them all. He saved them all.
Well, you can see them on Hulu and
just kidding. Turner Classics. That was my father's favorite channel. I think my father felt like
he probably binge watch that stuff, right?
That's all he watched at the end of his life because I think it was like how like when we watch 80s movies because it brings you back to your youth. I think that's what he was doing. But early on, I think he felt that if he watched like regular TV, like that it was like it was beneath him, like he was trying to portray himself as an intellectual. So I think he felt like he had to watch like Masterpiece Theater and PBS and stuff like that to add to keep the mystique of being the college professor type.
Well, to him, if you grew up watching full-length movies with long storylines, a sitcom is like, what's it about? You know what I mean? It's just all too fast and not enough depth and
right.
So for him, it was probably insulting TV sitcoms versus.
Yeah. Although he would watch All in the Family, like everyone watched All in the Family.
Everyone watched that.
He liked Seinfeld when Seinfeld came out, obviously.
Yeah.
But all the other stuff was schlock, as he said. His he was the Italian with the Yiddish expressions. From my mother, he got that from my mother. My mother's not. Everyone thought my father was the Jewish person. They thought my mother was the Italian. My father was the Jew.
Funny.
All right, we're going to wrap this up. Arnold Classic coming up in a few weeks. We're going to be hitting some iron debates the coming weeks. If you guys have topics you'd like us to,
I would like to see Kamali and Lee Priest.
Yeah, let's get them on. Maybe that'll be the first iron debate.
Kamali versus Lee Priest. Show, either that or worst rated show.
Should Hottie be allowed to compete at the Arnold? Well, the Arnold people say absolutely yes. So thank you for confirming that with me, Brian Powers.
Yeah.
And as we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
See you next week.